Excuse me for being fucking blunt, but why don't you make more money? No, seriously, you're watching this video right now. It's about making money. Obviously, you want to become some form of rich. Why aren't you doing it? Why are you here? It's not really that hard of a question. Just go do it. It's because of risk. It's because of fear of failure. The reason why 90% of people do not go and pursue becoming more wealthy is because they think there's some failure or some risk to it, where you have to roll the dice with your current life in order to get rich. This is so fucking unfathomably true. And in this video, I'm going to not only prove it to you, I'm going to show you how to get stupidly rich without taking any risk. I will actually break it down step by step for you and show you how I've applied what I'm going to show you in this video over and over and over again over 15 years to build a net worth of nearly multi-9 figures. If you can tell, I'm a little bit spicy in this video because this is the stupidest belief that people have. It couldn't be any farther from the truth. And people have been looking at me like I'm crazy for saying stuff like this, and looking at me like I'm crazy since I started my first business out of the military 15 years ago. People thought I was absolutely batshit retarded because they hold this stupid belief, which is dumb. So let me destroy it for you in this video. And then at the end of this video, I'll even give you all my old courses, all my old business building lessons. In fact, an entire blueprint to get from 0 to 100K a year, and then 100K a year to $1 million a year, all for free on this channel. But first, we got to address the main issue. Why the fuck aren't you doing it? So let's talk about it right now. So let's talk about why you're not trying actively, aggressively like hell to get rich, or maybe you're holding yourself back. I don't know what the hell's going on in your life, but this is probably it. So when people think about making money or escaping wherever they are in life, they think it's like playing a game of Russian roulette with 3 bullets in the chamber, and you just have to go and play this nasty game of Risk where you either ruin your life or you become incredibly successful. And most people don't want to do this. If I said, hey, you can take your entire bank account and 5x it right now if you just go put it on red or black in Vegas, despite the odds being pretty much in your favor compared to the risk, the reward being super great, 5x reward being more than 2x math and stuff, you still probably wouldn't do that because people are risk averse. In the context, if that was the only bet you could ever make in your entire life, then yes, you shouldn't do that because there's 1 in 5 chance you ruin your entire life. And so when I first started my first business out of the military, I was flat broke. I had saved about $6,000 when I was in the military, and I took all that to put into giving myself the time and living expenses to go and build my first business. And frankly, everybody I knew thought I was an idiot. They thought I was insane. It was like I was going and sleeping with a pencil sharpener that could turn on at any moment. People were like, what the fuck are you doing, Alex? You should be going to school. You should be going the low risk path, which don't even get me fucking started on that, because if you're going to college, that's the riskiest, most guaranteed failure path you can possibly go down. But we're not going to talk about that right now. That's a whole entire other video. Anyways, I started a business from here, and I just did the same thing over and over and over again. And without risk, I was able to go and get from $0 a month to 10K a month to 50K a month to 100K a month to where I am now, which is millions a month. And I don't feel like I took much of a risk the entire way through. There's some things you can do that can make it risky. You can be really stupid about this. And yes, you can mess up your life. But if you're just a little bit smart about it, if you think a little bit, if you learn how to hedge your bets, no, you can't ruin your life trying to get wealthy. You can just almost guarantee it's going to happen if you just repeat what I'm going to show you right here. So the first thing you need to understand is that the greatest risk you can take is not taking any risk. Once you understand this, then I will show you how to lower your risk to virtually zero and grow whatever business, or heck, just gain a skill set that will get you paid millions of dollars working for a business. I have many employees that work for me that are multimillionaires just because they're good at their job. So if you want to get rich, don't just assume you have to build a business. You can actually just go work for somebody and be really good at what you do, which I'll touch on in this video. But you have to understand, if you go and do the traditional route that people follow right now, which is get out of high school, go to college, get 100K in debt. What am I writing right here? Get 100K in debt, go into college, and then slowly work your way up a ladder of a job until you're making good money, which will happen when you're like 35 or something. I don't know. The truth of this is, if we look at this process, most people don't make good money. Like, if you look at it, 90% of people are broke. 10% of people hold all the money. And if you really look at it, only about 1% of people are actually rich, which is to the point where you don't have to worry about money. You have a really nice house. Maybe you can fly private even now and then. I'm not saying that's the qualification of being rich, but it's the point where you have so much money that you just don't care anymore. And so almost nobody reaches that point. And if you look at the standard life route that most people go on right here, it's guaranteed failure. One, not making good money until you're 35. Like, trust me, from 20 to 35 is a massive chunk of your life. 15 years. Your youth is from your 20s to your 60s. That's like 1/3 of your life just spent struggling. That's guaranteed failure right there, just taking the low risk path. On top of that, you have this debt, you have this stuff that holds you and then adds risk to your life. So when people go and take the normal life, what they're going to do is they're going to get into debt, they're going to get an apartment or get into some type of lifestyle, which isn't super wasteful, isn't extravagant or anything like that. But the problem is this lifestyle and this debt combined make it so that anything they do has massive risk. Because if you have some $2,000, $1,000 in college bills, you have that $2,000, $3,000 apartment, you have your car note, you have all these other things coming in, you can't afford to take risks. Even if you're making, let's say, $10K a month and your bills are $6K a month, which is where most people are, give or take. After taxes, they barely have anything left over. You can't take risks because any risk you take, if it goes wrong, you're stuck with these bills coming in right here and you're screwed. And so you end up locked into this very mediocre, wishy-washy life path that's grand promise is to take you to 60 where you can barely retire if then with how money's working right now. This doesn't work. Like the thing I'm trying to point out right here, if you want a good life where you're financially free, I'm not talking being turbo rich. I'm just saying being financially free. You're not going to get here doing this. So it's just basically delaying failure, which is still going to be failure. This doesn't work. The end. And so the first thing you need to realize is the traditional life path that so many people are telling you to go down and that you're weighing as the other end of the bullets. Remember those 6 bullets I talked about? This is the safe route to go. It's not the safe route. You're automatically going to fail here. So you might as well just wipe this off the table and not consider this an option. And here's why I think making money isn't very risky, or going to try and become wealthy isn't very risky. Now, first thing, if you like this video, go below and subscribe. Why should you do that? Every month, once a month, in our community tab that only my subscribers can see, I post all my old courses. This is like $20,000 worth of old courses. Teach everything on how I build businesses, how I run my ads, how I sell everything. I'm giving it all to you for free because I'm so rich, I don't sell courses anymore. I just don't want to do it. It's just not a fun business model. I like selling software. So I'm just going to give it all to you for free, but you have to subscribe. And then you'll see it in the community tab once a month. So here's the point I'm trying to make right here. How do we do this without risk? So whenever I run live streams, which I do about once a week, you should subscribe to attend those as well. Number one question is, how do I do this thing without messing up? How do I do it without risk? How do I do it if I don't have any money? The question behind all of this is, how do I do this while avoiding failure? And I'll show you how to do it while avoiding grand failure that ruins your life here in a second. But the first thing you got to understand is, what is failure? And what failure is so, for example, when you lose at something, you're embarrassed, or it makes your life much harder. Okay, that's really the only two things that people really define failure as. So something that makes you look bad, so makes you look stupid in front of all the babes, or makes your life harder and more difficult. So really what we need to do is we need to, one, eliminate both of these. So one, why would it be embarrassing to fail? Well, that's because you're giving too much credit to other people. Now, everybody can tell you, fuck what other people think, but let's look at the grand scheme of it. If you delay going and becoming wealthy for your entire life, for most of your life, people will already think you're a loser. They just don't think you're a big loser, okay? So it's better to even go out there and fail in a cataclysmic way, and people kind of think you're a loser then, than just by default thinking you're a loser for the rest of your life. And then when you go through enough failures and you get good at it and you become a winner, everybody thinks you're a winner. So the only way people are not going to think you're a loser is by eventually overcoming it anyways. So you're basically just setting for like being a 3 out of 10 on people's respect scale and settling for that so you can avoid temporarily being a 1 to eventually be an 8 or a 10. It doesn't make any sense. On top of that, you could also just take the bigger route and just be an emotionally stable person and not give a fuck what other people think, because it's your life. You're the only one that's going to ever experience it. And shaming yourself for trying to become better and taking risks. Like, for example, if you pick up a guitar and you're bad at guitar for the first year you're playing guitar, you're never going to become good at it if you let that stop you. If you let people think like, oh, he's trying to learn how to play guitar, what an idiot. If you let that stop you, you'll never be good at guitar. So you'll never be good at anything. And you're letting a bunch of people shame you for trying to improve yourself. Stop being such a little bitch, goddammit. I can give you any type of mental IQ, but maybe just stop being a little bitch. You're going to be somewhere 40 years old. Do you think all the people you went to high school with are going to be checking in on you when you're 40? Do you think you're going to give a shit what they thought about you when you were 20 years old? No, so just stop it. Okay? Thanks. Now, the next part of this is something that makes our life much harder. How do we avoid this? Well, a lot of people think when they go and start a business, they start try and get wealthy. They didn't go and make some big massive investment. That's just not true. The end. You can start small. You can start smaller businesses and you can scale them up. So one, That fear of failure right there doesn't exist. Next, the reason why people are really afraid and it makes their life harder is because they already have a lifestyle and everything to maintain. I'm going to give you just a little tip right here. If you want to go, and let's say you're making $5,000 a month at your job, or you're doing some freelance work, or I don't know, something like that, maybe just get your lifestyle cost as close to zero as possible. Move to a little one studio apartment in Wyoming next to a grocery store. Don't have a car, have a computer, and just work from there. Oh, Alex, doesn't sound fun. You know what doesn't sound fun? Taking the slight upgrade and having a car and living in a one-bedroom cramped apartment till you're 40 years old. That sounds like it fucking sucks too. So maybe just downgrade so your lifestyle is very low for a couple years until you're making good money and you're capable of making good money, and then get the lifestyle. Don't try to get a mediocre lifestyle that you can barely fund and then continue that for the rest of your life. Have a absolute dog shit lifestyle that costs you nothing. Maintain that until you can make good money, and then slowly upgrade the lifestyle so that your lifestyle costs 10% of what you make. So for example, all the shit you see me do, everything in my life right now costs me about 10% of what I make passively from my investments and then for my businesses every single month. So like, I have no stress whatsoever, and I take all sorts of crazy risk. If you see me in crypto, I literally gamble with multiple 8 figures at a time there. Because again, if I lose all that, that's fine. That's fine because again, I've kept my risk or my lifestyle very low. You need to do the same exact thing. Now, here's the thing you need to understand finally that's in the big picture right here. People think that you're going to go and play this game of Russian roulette in business, and if you shoot yourself in the head, let's say there's 3 bullets in a chamber, you shoot yourself in the head, it's just game over, you're done. I'm gonna tell you the truth here. In business, when you're first getting started, it's like playing Russian roulette with 6 bullets in a chamber. But what happens when you shoot yourself in the head is nothing if you go and build your businesses the right way. For example, on this channel, linked at the end of this video, is a full guide on how to get to your first 100K, 200K a year business. Breaks down everything you should be looking at right there, and then all the tactics you need are also on this channel. And those are going to show you how to start businesses where even if you fail, your life's not over. You just literally refresh your page and try again. The truth is, though, that the chance of failure is extremely high when you're starting business because you don't know what you're doing. Like, for example, if you're going and wrestling for the first time, you're going to go wrestle in high school or something, you're not going to win your first few matches against other wrestlers. You're probably not going to win any matches for your first year if you're competing against anybody that knows what they're doing. Duh! That's fine. It's okay. With this is the same thing in business, because when you're playing in business, the other people that are making money are kind of more like those experienced wrestlers. You're not going to beat them your first time, but you eventually will, and it's fine. So what you have to understand, though, is once you get good enough in business, yeah, you're going to fail most of the time, but when you succeed, the return is 10, 20, 500x. For example, I started with $6,000 out of the military, and I've been working on businesses for years. I have hundreds of millions of dollars in my net worth right now. I don't even know what the return is from that. You're not going to get that anywhere else. And the truth is, in business, the rewards versus the risk are lopsided. For example, it'd be like if you went to Vegas and there's a 50-50 bet. You got black, you got green. I don't know what this drawing means right here. But as you can tell right here, the bet is 50-50. But if you win, it's a 20x instead of a 2x like it is in Vegas. This bet right here, the easiest way to make sure you win always is just take this bet every day of the week. Now in business, it's even more lopsided. It's probably like 1 in 6. Pretty bad odds. But if you look at the return, which is 500x, the reward to the risk is incredible. So what you need to do is position yourself in your life that you can afford to take that risk over and over again. What your path in business is going to look like is, yeah, you're going to start off, you're not going to make much, you're not going to make much, you're not going to make much, and it's going to click. And you're going to get stuck here again, you're going to take risk, and it's going to bob up and down, and then it clicks. This process repeats. And so all you need to do is allow yourself the room to take these risks right here by lowering your lifestyle down, that you can repeatedly take the risk over and over and over again aggressively and do nothing else but try and take that risk. So what it really comes down to is positioning yourself so that you can be a chronic risk taker, because eventually the risks pay off way more than the rewards, because one, money compounds on itself. The more money you have, the easier it becomes to make money. But on top of that, the better you get at making money, the more skilled you are, the better you are at controlling these risks. You understand how to put the business together. Look, when you're 5 years into this, building businesses from scratch or doing anything that's really high value is going to be easy for you because you've gotten good at it. For example, if you're going and playing quarterback in a football team, the first year you play, it's going to be very difficult to play quarterback. But when you're in year 15 and you're playing college football, you're going to be able to operate at a high level that's easy by default. Are you going to be Tom Brady? No, you're probably not going to be the next Elon Musk. You're not going to make billions of dollars. But can you go out there and consistently be a good college quarterback if you try long enough and hard enough at it? Yes, and especially if you just take the risk, because that's going to allow you to build the skill, and then the compounding bumps you're going to see right here are going to occur. And so the true secret, I've been trying to tell you this entire video, and why I say it's not without risk. Yes, it is without risk, but the default path that most people take is guaranteed failure. So you don't even have a chance to win there. It's like you go to Vegas and it's just automatic loss. You put your money down and the dealer punches you in the dick and then blows his nose on your face. That's not a good bet. I don't know who is. Maybe you're into that kind of stuff. I know we got some weird motherfuckers that watch this channel. That's not what I'm looking for. And there's plenty of other channels on YouTube that will service that deep need you have. But if you're like a normal person who isn't like a grown man blowing his nose on his face and destroying your balls, the risk right here, the only way to avoid the risk of being poor and a loser for your entire life is to chronically take risk. And if you keep taking risks, by the nature of how odds work, they will eventually click and one will win and it will pay you those huge rewards and you will get better, so you will win more often. So the inevitable way to avoid the risk of being poor forever, which is the thing we're trying to avoid here, is to take risk as consistently as possible and live a lifestyle that allows us to take risks. So when we go and we're first starting our first businesses or learning skills or whatever, we are able to keep our lifestyle very low so we can take that risk over and over again. Then we're going to bump up, and maybe we're making $150K a year. We can bump up our lifestyle a little bit. You maybe get that big fancy 1-bedroom apartment, maybe get a car, or you can be a fucking psychopath and just keep living in a trailer, which is kind of awesome. You should just do that in your 20s regardless. Then you bump up to making $1 million a year. Maybe you move out of the trailer. Maybe you remain a psychopath. Who cares? Then you get to $2 million a year. Maybe you finally move out of the trailer. Nah. Unless you have a girlfriend, unless you get married, continue living in the trailer, continue smoking crystal meth, and playing World of Warcraft on the weekends. That's the way to go. But you see what I'm structuring right here. If you structure your life correctly, there's really no risk to taking risks because you can take them over and over again. If you're playing Russian roulette and it's actual loaded bullets and one bullet gives you $10 million, the other 5 kill you, yeah, that sucks. But the other 5 bullets in the gun don't do anything to you. They just make you lose a little bit of money that you get back. So it's like being afraid of dying in a video game. If you're afraid of dying in a video game, you're just a fucking pussy. So stop being a pussy. Go take more risk. That's the video.